Hi, in this session we are going to discuss about continuous integration and Jenkins as a continuous integration tool. Not only continuous integration, it also supports continuous delivery and continuous deployment to the target machines. So this is the agenda that we are going to cover in this session. First, we will discuss about continuous integration. We will try to understand what continuous integration is and what is the target of doing continuous integration in our environment. Then we will discuss about Jenkins, which is a very powerful tool to implement continuous integration, continuous delivery, continuous deployment among DevOps life cycle. We will see multiple demos around installing Jenkins and configuring nodes, master slaves architecture in our own virtual machines, and we will create our own pipelines also as part of the sessions that we discuss in coming topics. We will see integration of Jenkins with various DevOps tools like Docker and other VMs machines that we want to integrate in our DevOps environment. We can integrate Jenkins with testing tools, monitoring, GitHub. GitHub we use to push the code to the Jenkins for deployment and delivery purposes. Then we will see hands-on on creating our own CI/CD pipeline using Jenkins software. So let's start with continuous integration. What is continuous integration? So if you remember, till now we have covered about introduction to DevOps and what our version control system is. Second comes continuous integration, where we connect our multiple target machines, whether they are production, whether they are test, or whether they are any other release management, release deployment target softwares or target environment, where we want to connect our end-to-end delivery. So Jenkins actually provides a mean to integrate our various softwares, various endpoints, source, targets, tools that may help or that will help our continuous integration and continuous delivery possible. So before that, let's see what continuous integration is. The process of having shorter life cycles, shorter release life cycles, sometimes several times a day. That is creating small features and integrating them to the source code and employing automated build and test processes for quicker feedback is called continuous integration. In today's life, in today's agile development methodology, we have already understood about shorter development cycles and shorter release cycles. Developers actually start developing by gathering the small pieces of requirement from client, and they intend to develop small modules and they release them to the end environments or customer environments for the testing or deployment purposes. In this way, there are multiple shorter life cycles. Even for shorter commits, for shorter changes they make to the software, they commit the changes to the source code repo like Git. From there, they want their software to be tested on the endpoints like testing server, if you see here. And once testing is successful, if there are bugs, the feedback will be sent to a developer and developer will work on the improvement of code and bug fixes. Once the code is fully tested, they want their software, they want their modules to be deployed on the production machines. This is done continuously several times a day when developers are ready with the module from their end. They want their software's modules to be deployed on the test server, tested, and they want to see the end results if their software or module is ready to be deployed on the production server. So that's where continuous integration is important, because you cannot deploy human resources, or you can deploy, but that will be a costly affair to have human resources available for every small commits, every small changes developer make on the codes, so that the human resources can pick the new changes committed on the version control system Git, and then they pick those commits, build them, package them, maybe in terms of container or VM images, and then deploy on the testing server and perform the testing. In this way, you will need manual testers also, so that they can test all, they can run all the test cases, maybe 100, 200, 300 test cases on every module that developer release, and those test cases need to be run manually against the module that developer has just released. And that is again a manual effort that will take a lot of time to execute manually by every human tester. So this is where, if we do manual deployment of these release cycles from source code till testing, till bug fixes, till again these actually involves various cycles, and this will be a costly affair, and as well as time consuming, that will delay our whole DevOps or agile delivery purposes. That's where continuous integration comes into picture, where we couple or we can say connect our endpoints, whether they are testing machine, production machines, source control system, that is Git, all together using Jenkins or any similar tool, so that they can be available together, and any deployment of smaller modules developed by a developer can be done automatically. So this is called continuous integration. And once they are deployed, tested, the continuous monitoring process actually sends continuous feedback to the developer, and they involve those in the further improvement and continuous development process. So these are some advantages. There are many, but we have listed some of the continuous integration advantages here. The first is frequent commits, hence small release feature release cycles. So developer, because all processes are automated, there is no human deployment, so developer can, even if they are making small changes, bug fixes, they can test their small frequent commits by using continuous integration feature, and they can get the feedback whether their test was run successfully, the feature worked fine or not. Then comes automated build and testing. The building of code, whether it is Java code or Python code, anything, you can write these commands as part of the continuous integration cycle. Build, testing, packaging, deployment, everything runs automatically here using continuous integration, and that's where it will save time and cost, and every commit can be tested without any human intervention, and quicker feedbacks can be provided to the developer. That's why the third point says instant feedback to developer, because everything is automated and can be run quickly in few seconds or minutes only. Then low risk and faster delivery, because we are not involving human here, so there are less chances of human errors, and the steps are automated. So exactly same test cases, exactly same build steps, packaging steps will run automatically, and in few seconds every step will just require second or milliseconds to run, or maybe some for building or packaging of code maybe a few minutes. But yes, the risk of human errors or missing of steps or missing of test cases, wrong test cases run, these all will be negligible if this is the first run of the continuous integration run successfully. So yes, other execution will also be error free in this way. So this was about continuous integration. Next we will discuss about very popular tool that supports continuous integration, deployment and delivery in very efficient manner, and that is Jenkins. Till then, keep tuned. Okay, so we'll discuss about continuous integration. So let's see Jenkins, how can be used to manage continuous integration effectively. So we are if you remember the diagram that we discussed in Introduction to DevOps session, we are going in series from development to version control, that we covered inside Git, right? And now we are learning about continuous integration using Jenkins. So this is where we are covering every topic in series. Similarly, in pipeline, we cover continuous deployment, configuration management, continuous deployment, configuration management, continuous container orchestration, and continuous monitoring. This is how we are moving in this DevOps training series. right? So what is Jenkins? Jenkins is an open source automation server written in Java. Jenkins helps to automate non-human part of the software development process with continuous integration and facilitating technical aspects of continuous delivery. So this means Jenkins actually helps to achieve whatever we discussed in the previous topic, like continuous integration, continuous deployment, and continuous delivery in an efficient manner. And this is written in Java. And if you compare the market share of various continuous integration or CI/CD tool, you will find Jenkins has a good amount of market share and is very popular among the DevOps professional. So what are the features of Jenkins that make it very popular? Adoption. Jenkins is extremely popular among the open source community. As I said, hence there are more than 1,47,000 active installations throughout the world, maybe private or public, and 1 million people are using it. So when you install Jenkins, you can install Jenkins server publicly accessible, or you can make your private installation as well. So most of the organizations prefer to install Jenkins privately inside their VPN or secure internet, because they don't want to expose the things they have in their repository code to the public or internet. So that's where, because Jenkins is already adopted by many people, so there are reasons. So the numbers that show actually in graph why the number of users actually using the Jenkins make it more popular, and because mouth of publicity works faster than any other advertisement, and that's where Jenkins is getting more popularity. Then comes plugin support. As compared to any other CI/CD tool, Jenkins has variety of numbers of plugins available to integrate with almost all kind of DevOps tools, be it monitoring, be it packaging, building, be it deployment, or be it any other kind of DevOps requirement. Jenkins is available to support all kind of requirement and DevOps tools using various plugins that it provides. With an extremely active open source community, Jenkins has around 1,000 plugins that allow it to integrate with most of the development, testing, and deployment tools. So since open source community is supporting it, backing it, so any requirement, if any new tool comes, they immediately pick it up and develop plugin to get integrated with the Jenkins. So that's how we got an active community that is backing the Jenkins plugin support, plugin development, and we are getting quick access of plugin, quick availability of plugins available on the internet to be downloaded to suppose that software. So this is how we see, even there is a gap in even if there is any new release of the development tool or DevOps tool, Jenkins open source community immediately releases the plugin for that to support the same software. So this is how plugin rich community or plugin rich support makes Jenkins popular and favorite among all the DevOps professionals. These are some advantages of Jenkins as compared to without Jenkins support. So if you are not using Jenkins or before Jenkins, locating and fixing bugs in the event of building and testing failure was difficult and time consuming. We all know, being IT professional, we all know how much effort and pain are involved to manually reading the code, manually finding the bugs, testing each test cases, running the test cases multiple times for every bug fixes. Everything was time consuming and there were always chances of human errors. While using Jenkins, we have achieved smaller and automated continuous build and testing that make the task accurate and faster, because we are running the proven steps, proven commands automatically against the required tasks or stages in the Jenkins pipeline. So we are sure that whatever we are running is foolproof, and the test cases and everything, if once run successfully and once tested well, so we know that okay, what the test case that we are running is fine and written correctly, and it is actually testing the feature without any bugs. So that's where we get accurate and faster test results integrations using Jenkins. Then tests were triggered manually. As I said, testing of the code after building or deployment was always manual, and it was effort consuming task. Now in Jenkins, developer has to just commit the code to the repository, and build, test and deployment happen automatically using Jenkins jobs or pipeline. So this is where automation has helped a lot achieving accurate and faster results. Before Jenkins, no central place was there for triggering jobs on remote system. You had to manually log into the servers or using scripts, and then you can deploy the jobs on the target machines. Even if you had jobs or script cron jobs or anything written in a scripted manner, that's where you needed to manually run those jobs. They need to SSH to the machines, whether automatically using SSH commands or manually, and then trigger those jobs. While in Jenkins, because of continuous integration made possible, all builds or tests or on multiple remote systems can be controlled from one place, that is Jenkins master. You do not need to log in manually on the target machines on Jenkins slaves and then run those jobs. Everything is managed by Jenkins in an effective manner. So these are some advantages about Jenkins. In next session, we cover installing Jenkins. We will see a small demo how we can install our own Jenkins on our VM. Till then, keep learning and let's see you in next session. Okay, so since we discussed about Jenkins as a continuous integration and delivery tool, we will now see how we can install our own Jenkins software in our any running VM or a fresh VM. So for this sake, Jenkins installation is very simple. You need to log into the machine. You need to create one virtual machine, or you can use your existing server, and you need to log into it and execute the below commands. You have to first update the repositories. Then you need to have because it is a Java based software, so you need to have OpenJDK 8 version installed minimum, and then you can add the key of this Jenkins software, and then you can add the Jenkins repo to your Jenkins, or you can in your own installation repo, or I can say software repo. And once it is available, you can again run the update to refresh the repo with the new Jenkins URL added, and then you can install Jenkins from the repo. So this is how we are going to install Jenkins software in our own virtual machine. I have got 3 machines. One is Jenkins master, where I am going to install Jenkins, and from this server I will be managing all other machines that will be configuring as slave. So in coming demos, I will be using 2 slave nodes to configure with my Jenkins master. So let's connect to my Jenkins master virtual machine and try to install Jenkins on top of it. For the sake of simplicity and quickness, I have mentioned all the steps here that I will be following for the sake of time. So what we are going to do in coming demos, I have already created these 3 machines, master, slave 1 and slave 2. Second, we are going to install Jenkins on my master machine. And third, I will set up Jenkins master slave connection with the using 1 master and 2 slave nodes, and we configure them, and then we will see how we can run Jenkins job and pipeline using Jenkins, and we can integrate with a Git webhook for the automated triggering of the Jenkins pipeline from GitHub push or any other action. So this is my machine ready. I'm logged into it. So let me switch to our Ubuntu account, okay, and run apt get update to refresh the repository. One benefit of using cloud machines is like their internet is very much faster. So you can leverage the bandwidth of cloud machines to run any kind of installations very quickly. Okay, so the update part is done. Next, we need to install Java JDK 8 on the virtual machine. So now this is installing Java 8 on my VM. This may take a few minutes to complete based on the speed of the internet. What next? we will add the Jenkins key stable version. You can see Debian is stable Jenkins IO key, and add it to my keys once this Java installation is finished. It is going fast and going well. It may be should be finished in next 10-15 seconds. Okay, so I think Java installation is done. We can check Java version. Okay, you can see JDK, OpenJDK 1.8 is installed, JRE version and 64-bit server. So let's add the key. Okay, and add the Jenkins repo to my repo list. And so again I need to run the update, and then I can install Jenkins. The command is again simple. I can use sudo apt install or apt get install. Both will work. So now Jenkins is installing. It may again take few minutes or seconds based on the speed. And once it is ready, I can start my Jenkins service. Sorry, I can check my using it should the installation should automatically start the Jenkins service, and we can check the status using systemctl status of Jenkins service. So let's see. So this shows active. So my Jenkins service has been added and it is active on the server. Correct. Similarly, this installation part is completed. These were the only steps we had to follow in order to install. Now this is again one command. We can use systemctl or service. Both commands can be used to check the status of service as mentioned in the document. So once service is running, now I can access my Jenkins machine, Jenkins installation outside the server on GUI. So for that we need to actually access the IP of my server, and by default Jenkins start on port 8080. So apart from this, I need to actually edit. I'm not using any secure connections, so I will change it to HTTP, and I will. Okay, so here you can see Jenkins is accessible on port 8080 and server IP, and in order to log into it I need initial password, and initial password is placed where? It's placed on the master server at this location. So I can access this file for initial admin password. My connection was terminated somehow, so let me log in back to the server, and then I can retrieve the password. I had done everything with Ubuntu user, so I will check that again and access, because this is a root file, so I need to use sudo to access this file, right? Every installation need root access, and this was also done using same. So I can add sudo and then cat this password. This is the initial admin password. Later I can create one user. Once I am able to access Jenkins, I can set up any other user and I can log in future using that user credentials. Fine. This is what the document says. Once I am logged into the server, I can install suggested plugins. This is the basic step. So for what Jenkins do here, it will install basic plugins that are required to run my Jenkins software to support CI/CD. So once I click on this install suggested plugins, it will take me to the plugins page. See, so this is getting started and it is fetching all the required plugins. So these are all basic plugins that are required to run basic jobs on my Jenkins server. Okay, so all the plugins are getting installed here. So let it complete. Till then we will check what we have in the demo. So we got this done. We got the initial password. We do not need to worry, it will be available here. But for the safer side, after installing plugin, we will create one admin user so that we can manage our Jenkins UI or GUI without this admin password. Okay, so this is preferred. Have your own admin user created and password set so that you can access without this initial password. You can see Jenkins plugin installation is complete. I can create one user here. Let me follow the document itself. I can create one DevOps user here and I can set any password for it. Okay, and give full name also DevOps and devops@gmail.com. Okay, it will not ask you to authenticate your email, so you can put any email. But yes, in production or in a real environment, we put genuine emails so that we can unlock our account in case or do other stuff in future if required. So next is instance configuration. Here actually we put our master IP or Jenkins URL, complete Jenkins URL. By default it will pick automatically. If you want to change or make any changes here, you can change or click save and finish. This URL will be available always, or Jenkins will check this URL for future communications. Now your Jenkins is ready and you can start using Jenkins. Your installation and configuration of Jenkins is complete on the master server. Once you start, you will get this dashboard, Jenkins dashboard, from where you can see multiple options. We have a new item. We can pick any item. This is also a kind of welcome page from where you can start creating new Jenkins job. You can set up an agent, slave, right? You can configure a cloud, and here also you can manage resources, people. You can see build history. You can manage Jenkins itself. Manage Jenkins has a lot of options that we will also see in coming sessions. You can manage security. You can configure your system. You can manage plugins, tools. You can manage nodes and cloud that we will see when we connect our slave nodes to master that we will use here. You can configure global security, manage your credentials. Credential, when we say, there are a lot of credentials. Whatever device we connect in continuous integration, we can manage their credentials. We can create credentials for them and we can connect them using same. Right? Suppose we want to connect to Ansible Tower or we want to connect to GitHub, we can put their credentials here so that our Jenkins can communicate with them and authenticate automatically. You can manage users here. Then again, there are a lot of options that you can check into and explore what based on your requirement. Okay, you can create your views. You can lock your resources. Okay, so a lot of options are available. Jenkins is a very vast tool. If you go and discuss every feature, it will take a lot of time. So for the sake of, we will adhere to the basic things that we are covering and focusing in this tutorial. Okay, so our installation and configuration of Jenkins is complete. Next, we will discuss about Jenkins architecture. Okay, so let's meet in next session. Till now we have covered about Jenkins and Jenkins installation. So let's see what is Jenkins architecture, how Jenkins is supporting DevOps needs. So we have Jenkins here and plugins. Jenkins plugins are root of the Jenkins architecture. For everything, even for reporting, integration with various tools, for every software or tool we are integrating with, we have plugin to support it. For color coding, for formatting, everything Jenkins do effectively using plugins. So the backbone of Jenkins functionality is their rich plugins. Okay, so typically a Jenkins has or works in master slave architecture. You have a master, the same that we configured and installed Jenkins in our previous session, and that master actually connects and controls, or we can say manages, all the connecting nodes. Those nodes are called slaves for those Jenkins. So this is a typical master slave architecture that you can see on my screen. So Jenkins master can support testing server, production servers, alpha testing, beta testing, containers as end machines. So these are, even containers can be used as slave in Jenkins master slave architecture to run Jenkins jobs. So this is where Jenkins master slave architecture comes into picture. So next session we will see how we can connect our Ubuntu machines or Ubuntu servers as Jenkins slaves. So till now we are considered about Jenkins architecture. This is a very simple kind of centralized mechanism to control your all managed nodes using Jenkins. The process of integrating nodes with the Jenkins is very simple, and that's what we will see in next session. So let's discuss how Jenkins can integrate with various DevOps tools. As we already discussed, like Jenkins have plugins for every connection or every tool it supports. So using Jenkins, you can connect to Git so that you can fetch the updated code, or you can get the updated code from the Git source repo, and you can build those codes. You can run the jobs, Jenkins jobs, you can run pipelines against those codes, build them, package them, and test them. The packaging can be done as in terms of VM images, or the packaging can be done in terms of Docker images or other type of container images that can be built during the build phase of the code building. And then testing can be done using automated test cases. Like there are various tools available to support automated or continuous testing fundamentals, like Selenium, JUnit. So these kind of tools are available in market, where you can write the test codes in their format, and they will run all your test cases automatically without any human intervention. So there are apart from these, even you can connect your Jenkins to suppose this is your Jenkins, right? So Jenkins is not limited to like continuous testing, continuous monitoring, or like this. Jenkins can support various tasks. Jenkins can be configured and connected with Ansible or Ansible Tower also to support your configuration management needs as well. Even Ansible jobs can be integrated with your Jenkins software. So Ansible playbooks or Ansible deployments also can be done automatically using Jenkins software. Those also do not need to be covered manually or run manually to make your servers ready or endpoints ready for the deployment. Again, Jenkins can, as I said, Jenkins can integrate with Git, version control systems, any type of version control systems. Jenkins can integrate, pull the code, or even they can push or commit the code also if there is a need to do so. So this kind of also requirement can also be met using Jenkins. So similarly, Jenkins supports continuous integration, deployment, delivery, testing, monitoring, configuration management. Even you can deploy your microservices using Jenkins using Kubernetes or Helm charts. These also can be achieved using Jenkins. And Kubernetes is part of our training, so we will discuss this in coming sessions. Ansible as well will be discussed, and we will see how we can use these tools to manage our DevOps needs. So Jenkins is, as I said, it is a very popular and plugins rich software. So that's where it can integrate with a lot of DevOps tools without any difficulties, and you can use them. So what is how we can integrate with Git? Git can be used to copy a Git repository to the slave file system from Jenkins master. So what actually Jenkins do? Suppose you have a Jenkins repository. You have a code repo hosted on Git. Okay, and what Jenkins will do, using continuous integration with Git, it will pull the code from the Git and download on slave machine. So it will download the code copy. It will clone actually. So in version control, we have already saw what clone is. It's like downloading the whole code from the Git repo to the local server. So what Jenkins do as part of the Jenkins job, it downloads the whole Git repo for that source code on the local machine or slave node, and then build those code and or perform next actions as per the job configured. Okay. Similarly, now what next action could be? Next action from after downloading the source code could be build the code, right? So it can be like pull the code, build the code, test the code, deploy the code, right? So every stage can be defined in a Jenkins job or pipeline, and it will run gradually. So now after building the code, packaging comes in picture. So it will, if we are using Docker, if we are integrated with the Docker, Docker can be installed on the slave machine, and then it can be used for packaging the code after building and for testing or deployment purpose. So now it will containerize the website in the previous step to a Docker container using Jenkins. So this is where packaging comes in picture. That will be the package, the images will be used to run on the target machines. So not only Docker is supported, you can package your code and software in various deliverables, various form of deliverables. It can be a VM image, it can be a Docker container image, it can be a jar file, tar file, war file. So any kind of deliverable can be packaged in this step, right? Once your code is packaged in terms of container or any image, it can be run against various test cases using Selenium or any other tools your Jenkins is integrated with. So now create a test case for this website in the previous step and execute the test on slave using Jenkins. Once your test case, your code is deployed on test machine, test cases in Selenium can be run automatically and the feedback can be provided to the developer. Okay, so these many test cases failed, you need to work again and fix the code and make it bug free. So there are some cases of Jenkins integration with DevOps tools. So this is a very limited explanation. A lot of tools are available based on your needs. You need to check them out and follow documentation. Follow the documentation to integrate them with the Jenkins and use them in your jobs or pipelines. So now we have covered the theory part. We will see a small demo in next session about configuring slave nodes with the Jenkins master. Okay, so in this session we are going to configure two machines, two VMs as a slave to our Jenkins master. So let me go to my Google console, and here I already have two slaves ready. So I will log into these slave machines and perform the required steps. Okay, so this is slave 2 and this is slave 1. So let me go back to the documentation. Here we need to do some settings around slaves or agents that we are going to configure. Okay, so let's go to Jenkins. Okay, let me zoom it first. And I will switch the user to Ubuntu for the sake of simplicity. Fine, so this is my both slaves are ready to be configured, and I will go to my Jenkins. Here I need to go to configure global security, and I will change the agent settings to random so that random agents are picked. Okay, this is done. Agent save. What next? We need to add our VMs as a slave by going in here, manage Jenkins and manage nodes and clouds. Here you can see already my master is there as a node because it is also a Jenkins node, and from here we can connect a new node to this Jenkins. I can give node name as slave 1. Okay, and I can click permanent agent. So I am adding it as a permanent agent to this Jenkins master. So let's verify the documentation. It is same and click OK. Fine. Once slave is added, we need to configure it. We need to provide a root directory where all jobs will run. Okay, and also launch method need to be changed to this launch agent by connecting to the master. This is by default selected, so we do not need to make any change. What is next? Next is provide the working directory where all the jobs, means code will be copied from Git and all jobs will be run. So I need to provide one path where Jenkins will do this all. So I can check for any path on my slave. Okay, so this is my, so I can create one folder here to run all Jenkins job, and I can give it name Jenkins, and this need to be done on both the machines. Okay, so let me create mkdir Jenkins folder. Let's go inside it and let's see the folder name. This is the path. You can mention any path. I want my jobs to be run in this path only for slave 1. Any other changes needed? Let's see. No, I can just save the slave, and similarly I can configure other machine. Add one more node. Similarly, slave 2, copy from the existing node I can do. Also copy from existing, it will copy the same settings. I do not need to do any manual changes. You see, everything is present here. The directory is also available here for slave 2 as well, and I can save the agent with the same setting. Fine. So I can go to nodes. My both nodes are added here, but you can see there is a cross mark. Why? Because these are not configured and connected to the master server yet. So that step we will do. Before that, I need to create one directory on my slave 2 also. If you see here, I have not created any Jenkins folder here yet. I need to create Jenkins folder so that I do not face any issue while I run any job on slave 2 machine. So let's check the directory. Same directory is available here also to run my all Jenkins jobs. What's next? I need to connect my agents to the master server. Let's go and download the agent.jar for each slave, right? So I have downloaded this jar. Similarly, the name of the file will be agent.jar only for every slave. Okay, and I need to push this jar file to my slave machine. So this is agent 1, slave 1, sorry. So here what I will do, I will upload this file to my slave 1. Fine. So you can use any file transfer tool. This is a Google Cloud machine. It automatically provides me facility to upload or download file from the VM from these settings and options. If you are using any other VM, you can use FCP to place this file from local machine to target machine or slave node, or you can use any file transfer utility like WinSCP or FileZilla to place the files from local machine to the virtual machine. Fine. So until it is getting done, let me go back here and download the agent.jar for the second machine as well. Let's get the yeah. So upload is finished. So I can download this agent.jar here. Rather doing this, let me download. Delete this old jar file and rename it to this is my slave 2 jar file, because every jar file name is same, so I have changed it now. So let's upload this as well on slave 2. So slave 2 jar agent.jar need to be placed on slave 2, and until it is while it is uploaded, I will proceed with the next step on my agent or slave 1, right? So let's see if this file is uploaded successfully, where it is downloading to my home folder, and that path is home/v. If you see here, you will find the agent.jar placed here. I will copy this from this location to my current location. Let me go here, cp this /agent to my current location in my current home directory. Okay, so if you see here, I have copied this agent.jar here. Similarly, I will check here on slave 2 also. I will do same. home slash this, and agent.jar is available here. I will copy it. Let me go to my home folder and copy here. Dot. Okay, so let me check. Okay, so both the slave nodes, slave 1 and slave 2, have agent.jar available, and I can move to the next step. Correct. So before this, my slave node also, because all agents that I downloaded are jar files. In order to run them, I need to have Java installed, OpenJDK installed on my slave machine as well. So I need to install Java on my slave nodes as well. So let's do that. First refresh the repository on both the server and then install Java. Same command which I used in master, I will be using here as well, because the software is same. This is on slave 2 and to confirm, and this is on slave 1. Okay, confirm, done. So let's wait for Java to get installed, and then we can run our agent.jar file in order to connect the slave to the master node. So this command can be directly found on the Jenkins master itself. You can go to the slave and you can see the command is available here. Okay, so once let's wait for Java to get installed, and then I can run this command. What this command is, it is actually simple: Java -jar and execute the agent.jar file with the master URL. You can see JNLP. Actually, Jenkins uses JNLP protocol to connect and communicate with all the slave and masters nodes among themselves. And here it will be using URL of your Jenkins master, and it will provide one secret that is confidential to and will be used among these Jenkins connections only. So our Jenkins master and agent will be able to communicate to the master with this secret token only, and the working directory will be the one that I provided in the configuration, that is home Ubuntu Jenkins. Okay, so let's see, it's taking some time. Yeah, so now if we see, Java is installed on my slave 2 and on slave 1 as well. What's next? I have copied my slave 1 command. Slave 1, you just verify it. The URL has slave 1 and I am running it on my slave 1 machine. So just verify and run the command to connect your slave node with the master. Okay, and once it is connected, it will show info connected. In case you get any error, then that need to be troubleshooted. But if all goes fine, you will see a info connected message here like this. Similarly, so this node is connected and this is the process is open. You should not be closing this window. Closing this window will actually close the connection to this slave 1. So I will not touch this connection and I will keep this process running here so that my agent is connected. Similarly, I will go back to my slave 2. See, okay, let me run this and I will show you the connected status on master as well. So you see, slave 2 is, this is slave 2 command, and if I run, it is connected. So my both the nodes, if I go and verify in the Jenkins dashboard, I should see both them connected and the cross sign, red cross sign has been removed. Okay, refresh it and you see all agents are connected. This status, once they are connected, you will be able to see what type of architecture it is. You can go inside and check further details and free space, swap space, temp space, everything you can see here. You can also refresh the status if you want to refresh them. So my nodes are connected. Make sure you are not terminating these connections. You should not press Ctrl C or close these windows. Rather, launch one more instance for slave 1 and slave 2 to run further commands without touching the previous ones. If you terminate them, your connection to the agent will be, connection to the master will be lost. What's next? I have successfully connected my agent 1 and slave 1 and slave 2 to the Jenkins master. right? We got this successfully. Next will be to create and run Jenkins jobs. Okay, so this was all about this session to configure slave nodes with the Jenkins master. Next session we will cover how we can create Jenkins jobs and run them. Okay, so since we have successfully connected our two slave nodes, so now we will configure job on each of the node, making each of the node as a target node and run these jobs separately. The motive will be to have one node, one slave as a test or QA slave node and other as a production slave node. So let's see how we can configure jobs to run on each slave node specifically based on the configuration. So here what we see, we will be using this Git repo code for our demo purpose. So let's go and check what this Git code consists of. This code has one folder and which has the source codes available here, images, index file that will run as part of my code. And second, we have one Docker file. This Docker file will be used to create Docker image that will be running as part of the deployment. Docker file will be Docker and Docker file will cover in the coming session. So just focus on here how we can use this code to build the code and create container images, Docker images for deployment and use in the pipeline. Okay, and so this code will be downloaded to the slave node and will be built and deployed to the in form of containers on the slave nodes. So here our slave nodes will be used as a target machine also. So let's go and check. First, this code will be cloned by the jobs and then Docker build will be used to build the Docker image. Okay, so before that we run any Docker command, we need to have Docker installed on my machines, right? So let me change my user to Ubuntu again on slave 1 and install Docker. So on both the machines I need to do same, both slave 1 and slave 2. Fine. So once Docker is installed, you can see on both the nodes it is installing Docker software. So let it complete, and we need to add our current user as in the Docker group also to make it working. More understanding we will take in Docker session. So for now, just follow the steps that I am doing. Sudo user mode. I will add my current user to the Docker group. Give the Docker group name here and $user for my current user account. This way I have added my current user to the Docker group so that it can run Docker commands. Okay, so it will not affect immediately. If I try to do Docker ps, I will get permission denied. After adding, I need to refresh. I need to log out and log in again to my account, and then I will be able to run Docker commands, right? You see, after log out and log in back to Ubuntu user, I am able to run Docker ps command. There is no container, so I do not see any output. Similarly, log out here also on slave 2 and log in again, and I should be able to run my Docker command well. So this is where I have installed Docker and I am able to test it. Correct? What next? Next, we will create a job that we want to run inside slave 1 and slave 2. We will create one demo job and we will create one demo prod. Demo will point to slave 1 and will run and use slave 1 for all execution and deployment. And demo prod we will create to run on slave 2 as a target machine and slave node both. So let's go on the Jenkins dashboard here. Click here to go back to a Jenkins dashboard and create one job. We will use freestyle job. Okay, select, or there are a lot of options available in Jenkins which type of jobs you want to create, right? So we will use freestyle job, which is a very basic one, and we will create one demo job here. Fine, and click on OK. Once you have given all the inputs, it will ask you to configure this job. So there are a lot of options based on our requirement. Here we will select basic options to configure our job. We have landed to this page already. What next? We will put our GitHub repo here as a GitHub project. So let's go copy the URL. This is the URL of my repo and place in the GitHub project. Fine, project URL. We should not miss any steps, so be careful while you are executing these. And I want this, if I don't select this option, it can pick, Jenkins can pick any slave node to run my job. But here I have option to restrict this job to run on any particular slave node, and this is what we can do, and we will do here. Restrict this node, this job to run on particular slave node. Just type in, it will give you suggestion automatically. Select the node you want to run this. Okay, just ensure there is no space after the selection. Then source code management, we can specify if we are going to pull our code from source code repo, maybe Git or anything. So we have to give that URL, same URL here also, right? In source code management section also. So just select Git and enter the URL here. Okay, so if your repo is private, then you need to add credential and all as well from the Jenkins credential management. Okay, because my repo is public, I can access it publicly, so I do not need to give any credential here, right? Check the branch from which branch you want to pull the code. As we discussed in the last session, version control system, we can create multiple branches and we can build the one branch that we want, that we are working on. So if it's not a master, if it is like DevOps demo branch, release branch, testing branch, so I can run code of that particular branch also by giving the branch name here. So as of now, I want to run my master branch only, master branch code here, so I will not change it. Correct? What next? So my configuration of this job is done. Just click on save and this job is created. If you go on dashboard here again, you will see one job created here. Fine. So what next? Just job is ready. So we will build it and we'll see how it runs and the status of all. Just go inside the job and build now. Using build now, you can run the job and it will start running, and you can see the job history, build history here. Okay, so this is my first instance of this job. So it will show you with the #1. This is the first build and job has completed, and green color means success. You can see the job has been success, and you can check you can go inside this build ID and you can see a lot of options here, the status and the changes. The console output is very important. This is all the logs that your Jenkins job populated while it run. So you can see all the steps that executed as part of the job. It cloned the repository where on the slave one. You can see which target machine or slave this job actually ran. On this slave node, it actually cloned the repository where it cloned to this workspace, home Ubuntu workspace demo. Okay, it ran all the git commands. You see, it ran git init and initialized the git in a repository here in this demo with the job name, right? And then it actually checked the version of the git, okay, and fetched the code from this repository. It configured the origin and all, the user, and then check out the code and pulled it. So if I go on my node on slave node 1, okay, and go to this, go to home Ubuntu workspace, yeah. So this I have typed go to home Ubuntu workspace and the demo job. It will pick the job name here, okay, and create the directory automatically. If I go here and check, my git repo has been copied completely here. You can see all the 4 items available as we had in the git repo. So my git repository has been cloned successfully, and that's why job is successful. Similarly, we will move next, and this is all done. We verified these all steps. We are able to see the content of repo on local. And now what next? What we will see? All repository files here. So this means all ran successfully. Now what we will do next? We already have Docker file to build the Docker image. So to run the Docker file, we have to check the copy present in the directory. So let's see, Docker file is available. Yes, so Docker file is available, and we can modify our job to build the Docker image out of this Docker file. So for this, actually we can add build steps, and these Jenkins support the build commands in various languages. They can be platform native, they can be programming language, or they can be of any type. Let's go inside job. If you want to change it, you can click on configure, and in configure you can go to the build section. Okay, here build and add step. Here you will see you can involve many kind of scripts here. Okay, what I want, I have Linux machine, so I want to execute shell commands here. So I will select shell, and it will open a shell command prompt in front of me, where I can place my Linux commands to build Docker image. What are the commands? First is to Docker RM. Actually, Docker RM actually will check for the running containers if there is, and it will remove. So make sure you have this command will not check if there is any running container or not. It will just remove. It will try to remove the running containers, and for that there should be one container at least, so that job do not fail. Second is Docker build command. So it will build the Docker image from the Docker using the Docker file, and put the name of this image as DevOps demo, and then it will run one Docker container using this image. So let's put these all commands in Docker build prompt and save it. So before this, check everything is fine. Yes, there should not be any issue with the command, otherwise job will fail. I have saved the changes. Now before that, I will check if I have any Docker images or not. So there is no image, right? So as part of the Docker build, and I will check there is no container also. So my job actually first check and remove existing containers, running containers. So for the sake of same, I will try one dummy container here. Okay, so that my job do not fail. We can change the code and shell commands and check for existing container, and if there is one container or more, then only it tries to remove. We can do that handling also in there, but for now we are not doing. We are not making our job that much complicated. Okay, so one container has started. So our job will first clean up all the containers from the slave machine, and then run a fresh container from the newly built image using Docker file. So what's next? Let's build the job again. Build now. Once you run it, you will find one more job populated here. See, job number 2 came here. I can go inside it, click on console output, and I can see what is happening gradually. You can see here what is going on. Your job was pulled again. The same steps ran. The fresh code was pulled up again, and then the steps I mentioned in the shell command started running. So you can see it checked for the running container docker ps-aq. It found one container, Ubuntu container, that I started already. It removed that container, and that was the ID of the container. If you verify 02E60, right, this was my container ID that was removed. If you check here, you will not find this container again. Instead of, you got a new container. How? Let's go to the log output again. The next command ran, which built the Docker container image from the Docker file placed in the code with the name of DevOps demo. Right? All steps were run. Images layer were built from the Docker file, and we got this current folder mapped as a folder inside the container image, and then using this DevOps demo image, a new container was started. That's what you see here. It is using DevOps demo image. If you go and check Docker images, you see image was built with the name DevOps demo about a minute ago, and that was result of this job only, and there was no manual intervention needed. Interesting, right? We are not doing anything. We are just running one job, and cleanup of containers, building of container image, and running of container with the new image. All three things ran. Even cloning of the code ran automatically without any human intervention, and the result is success. This is how my first demo job ran successfully, and we can see the status here. Now, since this container is running, if you see here in the command that we executed, it was mapped. The port 82 was mapped to the container port inside. That's where if you try to access this container on my VM outside on my slave 1 IP, I should be able to access it. Let me remove this HTTP s and put HTTP, and what is the port number? It is 82. That is mapping inside container. And that's where I'm able to see and access the index.html file that was placed in my DevOps IQ code, and I can see my container is working fine. My application deployed is working fine. So next is we will create a same job on my so this is what I am able to access on my slave 1 IP and port 82, but there was one API to access my my demo job application, and that was DevOps IQ. I can append this to the URL and try accessing, and I can see this page accessible here, right? So my application deployed using the Jenkins job without any human intervention is working fine and is accessible. This was part 1. Second, now we will create one more project. This was test job that will test your code. Now once test is successful, test code is verified, we will try to deploy it to the production using a second job. So for that I will create one demo prod job with the same configuration. Let's go to Jenkins dashboard again and create one more job. New item, demo prod, freestyle job. Click on OK. Put the GitHub project name here. What's the project name? I will use different copy of URL now, db-devops.git. So I will change the URL. This is also placed in my repo, and I will build this project as both are same codes with some changes, and I will try to place this Git repo in my new job. So Git project I placed here. Source code management I will select again as Git, and I will place my build commands here in execute shell again like this. This is done. Yeah, so this is also needed. I want to run this production job on slave 2 only. So slave 2 I am considering as a production server, and I will put this here. So I will restrict my demo prod job to run on slave 2 only. And what next? This I already did. Branch will be master only, no changes needed. And then I will put these commands. Just what I am doing now, this is the job name is demo prod. So the workspace will use demo prod directory to place all the codes and run the execution steps. This is done. The new image will be created with the name DevOps prod. Save the job, okay, and try to build it. Before that, because this will build on my slave 2 node. So I will create one container there also, slave 2, so that my job actually finds one container running and try to remove it. Build the job, check the console log, and you will see all the steps executed sequentially. It may take a minute or so. So it is the building of image done, running the container done, and the job is success, right? So job is success, and we should be able to verify the deployment again with the slave 2 URL. What is the IP of this server? This is the IP. I can go here, I can put the IP, and port will be 82. Sorry, this will be 82. You see the same page, and if I put here DevOps IQ, I should be able to access my application. Sorry, it was DevOps IQ. Okay. Oh, I just closed all the windows. Let me open it again. Cloud.google.com is my URL. I need to open the Jenkins again, right? So since I have created my Jenkins admin user, so I can log in to the Jenkins using Jenkins admin user that I created. Yeah, so this is my Jenkins IP, Jenkins master IP, HTTP / yeah, so this port 8080, my Jenkins will be here. Yeah, so it is already logged in. I do not need to do anything. So what next? I have to make some changes to demo prod so that it can run only. We saw like our demo job was successful, demo prod job was successful, but I want to do one change here, because demo job is my test job and demo prod is my production job. So I want to run my production job only if my demo job test job was successful. So I can do this, I can enforce it using the setting in job here. Let's go to configure and select run this only when build is stable. How we can do it? So I can go to post build actions here and add one item, add one action like wait. Yeah. So this actually I need to do in wrong job. I need to do it in demo job. Actually go to demo job and then I need to do it, because after demo job I want to trigger demo job automatically. So I need to go in demo job and then run this step. Go to configure, post build action, and this option. Okay, so I need to select build other projects. Build other project option, actually what happens when I select it, it actually once this job is completed, it will try to build or run other project or other job, Jenkins job. So that job I can specify here, demo prod. Just type in, it will give you suggestion. I want this, I can run multiple job, you see comma here, so I can put multiple jobs also. Once this job is complete, these job will be automatically triggered. I do not need to do anything manually, and this will, I can put condition here, trigger only if build is stable. This, if once demo build project is stable only, then this demo prod will run. Or I can select other action also if I don't want to care about the build is stable or not. Once it is saved, now this demo job will trigger demo prod automatically without any manual intervention, and it will do the Production deployment also once demo test has been successfully verified. Fine. This setting has been done. This is where we saw creating two jobs, one each for production and development, and we also saw how we can trigger demo job or demo production job automatically once test job is successfully verified. So this was all about configuring jobs and running those jobs in Jenkins. Next session we cover on pipelines. So in last session we saw about creating Jenkins jobs. So we had created two jobs in test and prod nodes, or we can say we had two slave nodes. Slave 1 was our test nodes and slave 2 was our production node. So this was the version of final website deployed on prod node, and this was our development on node or slave 1, that was our test node. Right. So I'm just showing you these two websites which have different content, and this was our test and this was our final website. Okay, so now what we will do, we will create a pipeline to execute the series of steps that will run without human intervention, and that will be a complete automation from developers code commit and push to the GitHub till deployment to the test and production server. So let's see what CI/CD pipelines are before implementing them in our own environment. CI/CD pipelines, CI stands for continuous integration and CD stands for continuous delivery and deployment, and in correlation this continuous integration, continuous delivery and continuous pipelines, deployment pipelines are a way of running Jenkins job in a sequence and which resembles a pipeline view. So you can see we got number of stages, number of steps to implement from a code build till deployment. That will involve testing, configuration of the target machine, that will be configuration management, implementation of monitoring, and packaging of those software that are successfully built, then testing and deploying those images. So these are series of steps will be automated in the stages of a pipeline. So this is the overall concept of having a name pipeline, because it creates a pipeline of the series of steps that you are willing to execute from development till deployment to the user environment. So these initial stages can be build, package, test, and then deployment. And test will include deployment to testing machine as well, because on deployed version only you can perform test cases. So that's where the concept actually resembles to a pipeline created that is joined with the various stages of the execution steps you want to execute. So that's why this has been given a terminology of pipeline. So this is a similar example. You got a GitHub repo where developer is pushing their final version of codes in small releases. Then these are pushed by the or downloaded by the Git or you can say Jenkins job from the Git server to the slave nodes or target machines. Once downloaded, the codes are built based on the type of code or language they have been written, and once built they are deployed and tested onto the target machines. So this is these are very typical stages that we have showcased here, but pipeline can involve any number of stages based on your requirement. They can be compile phase, build phase, testing phase, packaging phase, quality assurance phase, and then deployment, or maybe bundling, packaging. These all stages can be piped, and in actual pipelines, when you see in production environments or in large organizations, you will see even 10-15 stages or more available in a pipeline that will be doing and executing valuable steps that will be part of the deployment from development till releases. So this is where a pipeline actually named and meant with the development and DevOps stages. Okay, so now we have understood the concept behind pipelines. In the next session, we will see how we can create our own automated CI/CD pipeline to deploy the code from development till release. So let's try to create our own CI/CD pipeline on Jenkins. These will be the typical steps that we will be executing here. We will initiate a Git webhook for the Jenkins GitHub repository. Git webhook is actually a measurement, or you can say an action that we add on Git side, so that any action to the Git repo on which we have added the Git webhook will trigger the jobs on the Jenkins side. So in Git webhook, actually we provide the URL of the Jenkins master, and whenever any action that we have defined, maybe push, pull, or any action that our developer are doing on their branches on the GitHub repo, that will be triggering a specified job on the Jenkins side. So this is what Git webhook actually perform. Then we will trigger the job after completion of the previous job with the following map. Like, we will have a Git job created, and which will be pulling the code from the GitHub repo based on the action performed on the Git repo, and then it will build the website and deploy the website and test it. Then install the plugin for the pipeline view and make changes to the website and commit the changes to see the changes. So this is what we will do using. So for pipeline job, we need to have a pipeline view installed. So that will actually create a dashboard on Jenkins dashboard, so that we have good visibility of the jobs running in our pipeline. So let's see everything in action. I will go to my demo document, and these are the series of steps I am going to do. So we will also see how we can install any plugin later on. So let's go back to Jenkins dashboard. So it has logged out. I will use my admin user that I had created to log in back. Fine. So let's go here and try to install plugin in Manage Jenkins. Go to Manage Plugins and search for the I will go to the available plugin that are available for the download. I can search for any plugin. I can go to the list also, but if I remember the name of the plugin, I can type in and search. Okay, so we have a lot of various varieties of pipelines available. So for our requirement, we want to install build pipeline, right? Let's verify the document. It's build pipeline we want to create here. So we can check it and download. We can click on install without restart. We don't want to perform any restart on the Jenkins. We can install it without restart. So you see, this plugin has successfully installed here build pipeline and some extensions to support it. And let's go back to the dashboard again and create one pipeline. So we will actually create a Jenkins dashboard first before going to the pipeline creation. So let's create that by clicking on plus. We can add a dashboard, and we have that build pipeline view available. This option is available now due to the plugin we installed. This actually gives you a good view on the dashboard to view of the status of the job on the dashboard itself. Okay, so let's give some name to it. We can follow the document only, CI/CD CD demo. Let's create it. Once I create it, it will ask me to add a job, initial job that I want to trigger once it is created. So I got two jobs. It will give me a list of jobs and I can pick one. So I will select demo job, which is my test job. And once, if you remember the setting we did in the last session, when we were creating these jobs, like our demo prod job is dependent on demo job executes, and if it is the version it is building is stable, all tests successful, then it will trigger demo prod job only, otherwise it will not trigger. So this setting we have already done in the demo job configuration in post build actions, right? So by default I will choose to run initial demo job, and it will automatically trigger demo prod if it is successful, right? Any more settings we want to do? We did this, okay. And initial job we selected. Title we need to give here CI/CD demo, and let's click on save. Okay, if you see here in our dashboard, a very good looking view has been created. This actually creates this colorful views columns, you can see, based on the jobs you have, right? So this job is showing the build number 2. The first thing is showing the build number that I have executed here. So the latest build for demo job is build number 2. Okay, this job is interlinked with the demo prod job because success of this job will execute this demo prod. That's where you see an arrow that is pointing to the demo production job, right? So this job, when I build, okay, so now this dashboard actually give me option. This is all possible because of the plugin I installed. So I said you already, plugins are backbone of Jenkins functionalities. Okay, so you see here, this plugin provide me run facility of the job. When I click this, initial job will run. It will trigger this based on the conditions I have defined. I can check the history. I can configure this dashboard. Okay, I can add steps also. I can delete it, manage it, right? So what I can do, I can click run in order to run the job, right? So let's see what happens when I click on run. The color of the job will turn yellow, and based on the status it will show you colors. So if you see 2.4 seconds it took for this job to run, right? And the build number has changed. Green means the job was success, and if you see the production job also, you can see the status if it ran or not. So I can go inside it and I can see build number 2 created for this. That means it ran 15 seconds ago, and that's where if I go and check, both the jobs ran. Okay, so here you can see build number 2 available, the latest build of demo prod, and this was the latest build of demo. So this is successful execution actually triggered the successful execution of demo prod job. So both are green means both were success. Simple. What next? Now we will try to add GitHub. Okay, so this is very important. This is a usual practice. Whenever you want any pipeline to get triggered automatically with the Git actions by the developers, then we do add these GitHub webhook options in Git repo itself. How we do it? We are not doing these changes on Jenkins. Remember, this change will be performed on Jenkins job because I want to get this job triggered with the GitHub webhook. And next thing will be adding Git webhook that we will not do on Jenkins. Instead, we will do on GitHub repo from where I want to trigger this job. So let's make the job changes first by checking this option. Let's go on to the job. Which job? We will be changing our demo job. Okay, so because this job will be triggered with the pipeline view. So let's go inside this job and edit the configuration. Sorry, I need to go to the job and I can click on configure, and here I need to check the option for GitHub hook triggering. Until it is checked, it will not trigger this job with the webhook enabled. So this option need to be enabled here and saved. Next action will be performed on my GitHub repo. So this is my GitHub repo and it will be of adding webhook. So let's go to the setting of the GitHub repo. Here you will see webhook option available. Check it. Okay, and here I can add a webhook. So adding webhook, I need to authorize myself Jenkins, sorry, to GitHub. Once authorized, it will show you URL. Here you need to mention your Jenkins master URL that will be triggered by the webhook defined. Here you can mention content type, and since updated Jenkins, new version of Jenkins needs secrets authentication actually. This can be any type of authentication. So one will be Jenkins secret authentication. Without secret authentication, a webhook will not work. So I need to generate one secret here. So here I need to go to my user from which I need to trigger the webhook, and in configure I can generate a token for my account using generate, and this token I can copy and place on the GitHub repos webhook. Using this, now it will be able to authenticate and connect to my Jenkins. So I can define the action when I want to trigger this webhook. So for everything I have to select for like commit, push, commit, whatever I want I can do, trigger this job webhook, or if I want to just for the push operation I can just check this and click on active. Later I can deactivate this webhook also if not in need, and then click on add webhook. Now it will, what is the error here? Oh sorry, I forgot to mention the URL of my Jenkins. So let me add this URL as well. This is my Jenkins URL and I can add it here. Rest this need to be same, and there is no additional setting needed, right? This GitHub -web / let's add it and see if this is successful. See this check icon actually, once I add the webhook, it will handshake with the Jenkins Jenkins master, and if it is able to do handshake successfully, so it will see last delivery was successful and green check icon. So this is important to check whenever you are adding any webhook. This icon should be successfully and green checked, right? So this need to be checked and verified. Now my GitHub webhook has been successfully set and my GitHub account is able to communicate to Jenkins master. This token need to be present here. If I want to revoke, I can revoke and GitHub will not be able to authenticate further if I see a security breach. So now GitHub creation has been done. I can go to my dashboard, and what I need to do now, I do not need to trigger this job or manually. There's no need to push on run. I have configured webhook. So now what I can do, I can check this repository. I can go to the code and I can either I made do some change here and commit, or I can pull the code. I can clone the code repository locally and make some changes there. So let's pull the repository local, clone it, okay, by copying the URL. I can go to any node. Let's go to the slave 1 node, right, and do a git clone here. So repository has been copied. Let's go inside it and make some changes in DevOps index file. Yeah, index.html. What I can do, I can change the title, Jenkins updated website, and I can add one heading. Any changes I just putting here just to see the changes in the GUI in the web page. I can mention here webhook triggered pipeline. Python web page, and these are my changes that I will be pushing to my updated code. So changes are done. What next I need to do? Git add dot, and then git commit -m webhook pipeline, correct, and then git push origin master. This is my account, and fine. So my changes are pushed, and let's see if pipeline ran or not. Pipeline should trigger with the push action. Let's refresh it, and let's see what is happening. There is no execution. Why? Let me see if my push was updated here. Yes, the recent commit shows webhook pipeline, so this is successfully pushed. Then what is the problem? Yeah, so it has changed. It was running and it has changed. So everything ran successfully as expected, and both the builds have run successfully. It is the build number has changed from 3 to 4, and here for production it has changed 2 to 3. So we can verify by going onto the website as well. We made changes to the production code, and this is where we see yes, my title of the job of the web page has changed as I updated, and the content also appeared here as heading. This is webhook triggered website, and this is what all motive was, to have a webhook triggered pipeline created that will do our job, right? So this is all that we have done here. This is done. These are successfully added. Our website runs successfully. So this is all about Jenkins that we had to cover in this tutorial. So there are more interesting topics that we are going to cover in coming sessions. Till then, keep tuned and keep learning.